Big John McCarthy and Josh Thompson react to Arman Tsarukyan becoming the backup fighter for Oliveira versus Topuria. Arman recently revealed that he will serve as the alternate option, ready to replace either one of the two clashing for the division title. Obviously, Tsarukyan had not put himself in the best position as it relates to the company's vision of him, following the withdrawal from his scheduled title fight rematch with Islam Makhachev at the last moment. How Dana and the brass despise these kinds of occurrences, everybody knows at this point, especially the fighters. So whether this choice to become the official backup is an attempt to soften up the leadership and make his path to a title fight easier or not, it will likely improve his situation significantly. Not to mention, it is possible that one of the two headliners pull out, and in that case, Arman will actually be fighting for the title, so it's a win-win situation for him in that regard. Big John and Josh discussed Tsarukyan being ready to step in to save the card on extra short notice.
Arman Tsarukyan was the #1 contender. He was ranked #1 on the lightweight rankings. He got overlooked because of what happened before in the past. This is almost like, hey, we're gonna give you this for your chance to make up for it. Do us a solid, be the backup fighter. What is your take on him being the backup fighter? And if you're Ilia or you're Charles, what's your thought process?
As a backup, he's a problem for both because of his wrestling. Now, Charles has already fought him, so Charles has a good idea. And Charles, had moments in the fight that he was doing well, and you look and you go, okay, so Charles has already been there with him, so I think he's going to look at it like no big thing. I think Topuria, in the end, is going to say my wrestling matches up with his wrestling, and my stand-up is way better. So I don't think either guy is going to sit there and think that they have a disadvantage if their opponent falls out and Tsarukyan comes in. The real question is, does he make weight? It is the question. I'm sure he will. And, that's a good thing because that's putting him back in the good graces. He's doing this.
Alex Volkanovski explains why he's confident in Jack Della Maddalena in his first title defense against Islam Makhachev. We still don't have the date or the location for this welterweight clash, and the only thing we know is that it's official, which is something unusual for any fight made in the UFC, let alone a title bout. But due to the following months being backed up with pay-per-views and Islam not in a hurry to challenge the champ a weight class above, one can only guess what they're gonna do. Sometime from October to December is the likeliest timeline. Regardless, none of that uncertainty stops us to begin the preliminary breakdowns and technical analysis of the fight, and the MMA community is pretty split on this one. JDM's victory over Bilal certainly granted some confidence not only to himself but to his fans in the Aussie champ's capability to defeat Makhachev and either send him back down to lightweight or down the rankings at welterweight. Volkanovski thinks JDM has a good chance of winning this one, and he explains why he thinks that.
With Islam and Jack, I think Jack's fight against Bilal was a perfect fight for leading into that. Just purely, you take a lot out of stop and takedowns, because again, every fighter's still going to have little doubts that are going to creep in. You know what I mean? They're going to be like, even though you can watch that, don't worry about it, and then your confidence will come back. There's always going to be questions that are going to be there. And even, I'm sure Jack was going through that, being like, all right, worried about, what if he takes me down and all that. But the fact that he was able to stop it and feel so comfortable, I guarantee you he's leveled up again. His confidence in his takedowns has just went up significantly. And then through training with that confidence, trust me, I knew, because I've always been hard to take down, but I went from that Islam camp and from that Islam fight, and my confidence knowing that I'm going to get up, it's just, you're comfortable, you don't panic, it's sort of easy. Even when people are trying to take me down, I almost feel like I'm not even trying to stop it. That's how, confident I am, and I can stop it. And if I get down, it's just very clear to me what I need to do in them scrambles because of the confidence. I don't know if that makes sense.
Ilia Topuria gets knocked out in sparring by a PFL fighter who's a member of Team Khabib. Speaking with the Russian channel Usha Taika, Gadzi Rabadanov revealed that he was recently invited to Topuria's camp, as he's getting ready to fight the former champ Charles Oliveira at the end of this month. He worked with Ilia for a couple of days, serving as a sparring partner the whole time. When asked about those sessions, Gadzi first began to talk about the keys to beat Ilia in the striking department, naming things like forward pressure and footwork as crucial components. His assessment of Topuria's skills was a simple one, broken down in two parts. The analysis separated Topuria's striking effectiveness when he's pressing forward and when he's going backwards, and while it's no secret that forward movement and forcing his opponents to retreat is when the Georgian becomes the most dangerous, which results in building on explosive combinations to eventually find the target and score knockdowns or knockouts. His ability to fight while going backwards hasn't really been tested in the UFC. Generally speaking, that's the most effective way to cause discomfort to a fighter who's used to being in control of the center, and we can expect Charles to meet him right in the middle. But Rabadanov claims he already tested that out and it didn't go too well for Topuria.
Я больше двигаюсь на ногах. Он более стоячий боксер. Он стоит и долго выцеливает. И если, я не знаю, если двигаться и быть немного быстрее, можно перебоксировать. И от него нельзя назад идти. Тоже когда он идет вперед, он хорошо работает. Вторым номером ему уже немного сложновато. Можно ключи подобрать, и я поймал, он упал. Первое же касание, когда в него попал, я уже почувствовал, что он, уходит, и все.
Kenny Florian predicts the outcome of this weekend's light heavyweight main event taking place in Baku. Khalil Rountree is the slight betting favorite in this matchup, which shouldn't be surprising if we take their last couple of fights into account on top of analyzing the stylistic clash. He'll certainly put himself in a tough spot with 2 consecutive losses via finish. Both of those knockouts to Alex and Yuri were pretty brutal. Khalil, on the other hand, had his 5-fight winning streak stopped by Pereira, but his fight with the Brazilian lasted longer and was competitive. Khalil is much more kick-heavy and brings the Thai style to the octagon, while the former champ relies primarily on his hands, has a wide stance, and likes to blitz in and out. On paper, it's promising to be a dynamic stand-up battle, and both fighters need a rebound win very much. Kenny shares thoughts predicting the winner.
I think this is going to be another exciting fight, and you got to wonder, what kind of confidence that did for Rountree, coming off of his last fight against Pereira. I think that he gained a lot of confidence from that fight despite getting the loss. I think he had 2 really good rounds against one of the most dominant strikers in light heavyweight UFC history. And I think that will carry with him here into this fight against Jamal Hill, who also is very dangerous, but not as versatile as someone like Pereira. I think Hill has knockout power. He's got speed. He has very good timing as well. But I think his big crutch for him is going to be his footwork, his stance heading into this fight. Rountree is so good at chopping those legs down and landing with combinations now. I think Jamal still has a lot of upside. I think there's a lot of stuff he can gain from the fight. He's getting better overall as a fighter. But I just think Khalil has improved that much more. And I think it's Rountree's fight to lose. So give me Khalil Rountree. Pretty confident on that one.